All right. Welcome back to Seek First to Understand. We're so glad you're here. This may be the best or the worst podcast I've ever done because I am with my brother today. So this is Jamie. He is 3 years older than me. So some of these questions I'm going to ask, I already know the answer to, but a lot of them I don't, which I realized in prepping for this. So Jamie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Jamie. You're my sister.
Great job. We've covered that.
I was born in Plano in 1977. I
just told everyone your age if they can do math.
Yeah, that's fine. I have nothing to hide. I've lived in the area pretty much my whole life. We moved out to Murphy when I was 7.
Do you remember our first house?
Like we had a swimming pool.
I remember it, but only from pictures. Like I've seen pictures, so I'm like, oh, I can tell you we have a swimming pool, but I don't have any memories of that house.
Yeah. And like I remember the daycare we went to in the summertime used our pool, and we would go swimming. All the younger kids had to stay on one end, but since I knew how to swim, I went where I went in that pool. And then I remember because at 7 we moved to Murphy, and then at 14, so every 7 years I was moving.
Okay.
At 14 we moved to Wiley,
okay.
And that's where I ended up graduating from.
Okay, so back up to our childhood a little bit. So we lived in that house in Murphy. That's my childhood, I guess.
Right.
Because I was 11 or something when we moved to Wiley. So living in Plano, we lived in Murphy, which was a little bit of a ways from Plano. Like we had to go to everything. But you played all sports growing up.
Yes.
From little. Like, again, I see pictures. You played soccer. I feel like that's always the like gateway sport is soccer. So you played that first, and then you just started playing everything.
Yeah, and I don't remember when I started and everything, but, you know, unlike nowadays where a kid by, 7 years old is only focused on one sport, and this is the sport I'm going to play. And we did seasons. So football season, you played football. Baseball season, baseball. Basketball season. And then in between, I would play soccer. I would play indoor soccer. Once I got older, I did that for a little bit.
We talk about that a lot. I'm like, you and I could probably do a whole podcast with a couple of other friends of mine about youth sports these days and how ridiculous it is. But I feel like you were a very athletic child and well-rounded because you did. In the fall, it was football. In the winter, it was basketball. In the spring, it was baseball. Maybe summer, I guess, is where soccer fit in. But we were always doing something, but it wasn't like nowadays kids are in 4 or 5 sports. And again, it's year-round baseball. It's year-round flag football. It's all the things. But you were a well-rounded athlete.
Yeah.
So, again, things I should know. You went to middle school in Plano. We both went to Dooley Elementary. We were the Dragons. Go Dragons. And then for middle school, you were at Armstrong.
I was at Armstrong. I was in Apache, which
they
no longer exists.
Right.
I drove by last week. It is now just a field that they are watering, growing grass on this field.
So that's weird because I guess City of Plano still owns that. So they're just like, well, we don't want to maintain a school, so we'll just maintain grass.
They're going to make it a park, basically.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
So,
but what sports did you play in middle school? Like, I don't remember going to your middle school games. That's weird.
In middle school, the only sports I played middle school wise were 7th and 8th grade. I played basketball at Armstrong. I did not play football at Armstrong until my 8th grade year. The 7th grade year, I still played in youth with the Texans.
Okay. So let's talk about the Texans for a minute because that's a big deal. Did Dad coach you in everything?
Everything except soccer.
Because he didn't like soccer. He still doesn't like soccer.
No. So I never, I think it was my 6th grade year, 5th, 6th. Every year we would, at the end of our football season, we would go to Humble, Texas, or I think it was DeSoto. We would go down and play one game down there.
Okay.
And my 6th grade year, our team didn't get asked to go, but they picked up some players. So I played for a team called the Mean Green that went down there and played. And I never really got introduced into someone else coaching me other than Dad or Bill Wadley in anything until until I got to middle school.
Okay, except soccer, which then I'm going to go to this. Did Chris Ligo's dad coach y'all in soccer?
He coached us in indoor soccer.
Okay.
And that was one where they were just missing a kid and they needed someone to play. So I played 2 seasons with them. We were the Rude Dogs.
Why do I remember Storm? You have like a
The Storm.
Rude Dog.
We were always the Storm, and it started out as Don Kyle
Oh,
coached us.
that makes sense. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And then I played with the Storm
Forever. Yeah.
Every season we played. So that was my only introduction into soccer with a different coach. And it seemed like, from what I remember, we didn't do a whole lot of practicing or drills. It was like, here's the ball, go score, So
did you enjoy Dad coaching you, or were there times you're like, I'd like to see someone else's coaching style?
I feel like a lot of the times, especially in football, his buddy Bill Wadley actually coached me in the positions that I played. So he didn't want there to seem there was favoritism there and things like that. I would have loved to experience playing for other teams and other coaches, but at the same time, I was always one of the smallest kids on the field. So naturally, coach looks at you, goes, "Hey, this kid's small. He's no good. It's a waste of time."
What position did you play in football?
In youth football, I played like a safety, and then I played running back. I played quarterback. I was always in the backfield, which it's different nowadays. Back then, your quarterback was just the smart kid who was kind of athletic, who knew where everybody should be. There was not a lot of passing, not a lot of throwing back then. It was just who gets the ball, where do I hand off? And so you never played.
Carl didn't coach you. You were older when Carl came back and coached with Dad.
Carl was with us the last couple of seasons.
Okay.
Carl mainly focused on linemen and defense. So Carl coached me a little bit on the defense, but again, it was mainly Bill coaching me, and then Dad helped with linemen and defense and things like that. He was more the figurehead, I guess, of the team.
Okay.
But it was a huge change when I got to middle school, because in middle school they've got their 5-10 favorite kids that are, hey, 4 years from now we can see you on varsity and things like that. And the other kids, it was, who wants to play safety? Whoever runs out there first is playing safety today. Not a whole lot of time or effort given into, coaching those things up.
So middle school, you played basketball and football.
Yeah, because baseball was not offered at
school.
And they offered track. And I feel like one year I did track. I ran the 800 or something, but I was never, I'm not good at somebody saying, "Hey, go run." Now, if I got a big guy chasing me, I'm carrying a football, I'm going to run. So.
Okay, so then we moved to Wiley.
Yes.
Right before your freshman year, my 6th grade year. So good on our parents. That was a good time to move. And then in high school, you played your freshman year of football.
Freshman year of football. Again, it was, that was for me one of my favorite seasons of football. And it was because I played a lot of scout team offense, scout team defense. So as small as I was, they thought it was funny to make me be the running back on the scout team and then be middle linebacker on the scout team defense, which is crazy. You never have a guy my size playing those positions. But after that season, I would have been on JV. And in Wiley, freshmen and seniors, those 4
they're all
grade levels
together.
All together.
Right. Which, let's note, too, that when we were at Wiley, when you started there was 3A.
3A.
When I got to high school, we were 4A, and now they're 6A. So, again, much smaller. You could play as a freshman. There was only one high school.
Yeah.
So you played.
And it was culture shock for me because when we lived in Plano, you're in a big school district, and moving to Wiley, I had put it in my head that when we move out there as a freshman, I'm going to be on varsity playing everything. You got a bunch of,
I'm be a stud.
You got a bunch of cowboys out here playing sports. And it was nothing like that. After my freshman year, I quit football completely because I was told, as being on JV, you're basically just the tackling dummies for the varsity. They don't care about freshmen. They don't care about JV. It's all about varsity. So I said, I'm not doing that. But as a freshman, I played JV baseball. I played basketball, freshman basketball. And then sophomore year, no football. So I just played, well, I was going to play basketball, but I didn't make the grades to play my sophomore year. But I did play baseball my sophomore year, played JV again. And then
Let's go back to not making the grades for just a second. Our mother loves to tell us that you are smarter than me, but I made better grades than you because I applied myself. You just didn't care. School just wasn't your thing, but yet you weren't motivated enough to make the grades to be able to play on the team. Like what? Tell me more.
Well, it was never really the intellect to pass. It was the being responsible. I can't tell you how many homework assignments I did and never got them turned in because I had no clue where they were.
Which might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because for me, I'm like, if I'm going to do the work, I'm getting credit for this work because I did it.
So my freshman and sophomore year, I took a lot of classes that freshmen and sophomore weren't taking. Like I was taking chemistry as a sophomore, and I was in with juniors and seniors in that class, and I'm the youngest guy in the class, and I'm like, why am I doing this? All those years, freshman through junior year, I got everything out of the way. So my senior year was I went to school basically to be so that I could play sports.
Okay. I don't remember. Again, there's so much I was a freshman when you were a senior.
Yeah.
And that was at the old high school.
Yeah.
I played volleyball. I don't remember. But so through the rest of high school, you played basketball and baseball. Those were your sports of choice.
Those were my sports. I loved basketball, but I was better at baseball.
Okay.
Baseball was just natural, was easy for me.
You played center field.
Center field, and I started junior and senior year in center field. And that's when we had moved to 4A. And so we're in with Highland Park and McKinney and all these big schools. Baseball, we were competitive in that district. Basketball, my junior and senior year combined, we were 1-19 in basketball. And that was the last game of my senior year. We beat Rockwall at home. And it left a super bitter taste in my mouth because as a senior, that's your last game all of us ever played.
Yeah.
And I played the last 19 seconds of that game, and that's all I played. And so I was bitter with our coach at that time. And I remember one practice, we were killing the varsity. We were pressing. They couldn't do anything against us as JV. And the varsity coach said, "That's it. We're done. Y'all go to your side of the court and we're going to go work on stuff." And that was kind of a happy moment in my life of that we had made them just quit basically.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Coach Gent was a good connection for you. And then is basketball how you got to know Kobe as well?
Right. Because his son, Kobe, had a double lung transplant as an 8-year-old. I mean, an 8th grader is when he got his double lung transplant.
Yep.
And at the time, he was the youngest person to ever receive a double lung transplant. He was our he was our team manager. He went with us everywhere. And he was always...
He was just y'all's hype man.
He was. He was,
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was... I want to say he was like 4'9", 4'10", because the steroids had stunted his growth. But he was always cool. He was always fun to hang out with. There was another young man that helped also, Dustin Rodriguez, who had, I don't remember, he had a debilitating disease. He died at a young age. But those two always cutting up. I always liked being around them because
They just kept it fun.
They did. And Coach Gent did the same thing. Like, he understood none of us are going pro in this. And we're all here just to have a good time.
Yeah.
Just, it was always fun doing those things. And it's funny because every now and again I look back and think about random games that we had, and I remember very few, but there's moments of things I remember. Like, I remember my senior year, we were playing in Highland Park, and they had a guy on the team that ended up playing at LSU.
Oh, wow.
And the guy was 6'9".
Okay, yeah.
And my memory of that was we were at Highland Park playing, and they were on a fast break with that guy and the point guard. And I just remember this 6'9" dude flying over me, catching and dunking on me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to make it any further in this.
But again, I think having that perspective, because like we said, kids sports now, it's so competitive. And are you practicing this many times? And are you on a travel league? And are you doing all this? And how many of them are really going to go pro? And even talking to Jackson the other day, and we're talking about the sports he's doing, and he's like, Mom, I just want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yes, when did fun leave sports?
Yeah.
Right? Because even now, to your point, like, they want them in middle school football so they can groom them for high school football so they can blah, blah, blah. And it's like, some of these kids they're not naturally athletic. They're not going to play in high school. They just want to play and have some fun and learn to be on a team and be a good teammate and enjoy the season. And it's hard on some level as a parent to know, when do I push, when do I pull back? But also as a coach, like, good on Coach Gent to go, let's have some fun and play some basketball, guys. Yeah. This isn't the end all be all. Yeah. Whatever. So again, we love Coach Gent, and we can talk more about Kobe if that comes up. So you graduate from high school. College was not really your thing because academics was not really your again, you were smart enough. It just wasn't, it didn't interest you from what I kind of remember.
Right. Because school, again, for me turned into, I have to do this if I'm going to play sports. Mm-hmm. That's the only way I can do this. So I know that after high school, I enrolled at that time, it was called Quad C.
Collin Community College.
Yeah, Collin County Community College. And I ended up, they wanted me to take a writing class that I would get no credit for. I signed up for a history class, and then I took a PE class, which was a basketball class. And basically, you went to this class, you played pickup basketball the whole time. At the end of the semester, we were given a written test. I feel like it was about 1 page, maybe a back, and it was dumb rules of basketball. And again, the teacher of that class was the basketball coach at Quad C. So I went to that class religiously. I never went to the history class, and I never went to the writing class. So I'm still sitting on a 4.0 GPA.
You're killing it. Yes.
Right now.
So again, things I feel like I should remember because we lived in the same house, but I don't remember these things. So you still lived at home. You graduated from high school, you lived at home.
Mm-hmm.
And you worked?
At that time, I was working at
Mr. Jim?
Berkshire's.
Okay, because I know you worked at Berkshire's through high school.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're working at Berkshire's, you're living at home. At what point did you go, I got to get out of this house, or I've got a job now that allows me to go live somewhere else?
Well, because that was the rule when I graduated, is you're either going to go to school,
mm-hmm. or you're going to live here and pay rent?
You're going to live here and pay rent.
Okay.
And so it just so happened that it was live here, pay rent. I was working at Berkshire's. I worked there for probably 5 years, and I did everything. I did night stocking. I did day stocking. I did bagging. I did cashier. I did everything. And a guy that I had played varsity baseball with, Aaron Buster, he worked in the meat market there. And we got his mom. He was living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Rustic Oaks out there in Wiley. His mom had moved back to Oklahoma. So I moved in with him and was paying rent with him. And I never had anything of my own. Like all her stuff was still there. So I was in a bedroom that was all her stuff. And I kind of had just whatever my stuff was there. And then from there, I got fired from Berkshire's, and I ended up, I'm pretty sure I moved back home for a while.
Was I still at home then? Is this weird that like we're siblings and we don't know where our lives over?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
But that's when I started working at Mr. Jim's, and I love that job because
you worked with Kobe.
Kobe was there.
Okay.
And it was always a competition for me of, I remember going to the owner one day and I said, what's the record for the most deliveries in one day. So sure enough, I put it in my mind, I'm breaking this record today. And I ended up getting stuck in the mud at a job, and I was on pace. I think I had 28 deliveries or something like that crazy that day, but I worked there for a long time. And then as I recall, I got approached by a guy who was working for Chipotle. And he was like, hey, man, you know, he and I never got along. We were enemies, this and that. But we had a mutual friend, Matt Waller. They were in a band together.
Yeah.
So Mark Arrington says, hey, man, do you want to keep doing this, or you want something that I got a company I'm working for? He was a manager at the time. He brought me on. They made me an hourly manager, and I worked my way up with them to GM. After about, I'd say 4 or 5 years, I was a GM at the restaurant I had started at. And
so do you feel like that's when you really, like, for lack of a better term, became an adult? You're like, okay, I have a steady job with upward mobility. I'm living on my own. Like, I'm doing this adult thing.
Yeah, because that's when I worked there, I finally moved out of Wiley, moved back to Plano, got my own apartment. I mean, I'm still not technically an adult yet. I haven't reached that mental maturity yet. But,
to this day. Got it.
But, yeah. And from there, I met a customer of mine. She was a real estate agent, and we get to talking, and sure enough, she's the one who was like, she got me into my house I had in Plano.
Okay.
And so...
Well, and then to bring, youth sports back into this, while you're working these jobs, at some point you start coaching youth football.
18. When I was 18, when I graduated, I was coaching youth football.
Like, you just went to PSA and said, I want to coach?
I coached with Dad and Bill Watley.
Okay.
And I did maybe a year or two with them, and Carl.
I was going to say, that I'll believe you, but that can't be too right. Well, yes, when you were 18. Because then at some point, Dad moved.
Right.
Okay.
And when he moved... Matt and Carl and myself ended up coaching with another guy for one season.
Okay.
And again, it's youth sports, but we recruited the best team.
Of course you did.
We gave up 2 touchdowns the whole year. We killed everybody because Matt Beard, that's all he did. He wasn't much of a coach, but he recruited kids to be on our team. I mean, we're talking... We're buying PlayStations for people. We're buying bicycles. We're paying electric bills for moms.
This is a whole other world.
And I coached from 18 till 35, 36.
Anyway, well, thanks for being here. And thanks for being a great brother and uncle. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.